Okay, hello and welcome to this week's fans panel from the Globe Arena bar here at Morecambe. We were supposed to have Bear Ben here tonight, but just like I've had a nice chicken pie before we came on air, he's chickened out. Bear Ben, you're not going to live this down. But instead we've got a real man to take his place, Stevie Downs. Taking the place of Bear Ben, who, just to remind you, has chickened out. And tonight we've got two guest stars tonight. We've got Derek Quinn, who's a long-time fan and press officer for the club, and Neil Roebuck, who goes by the name of Christy's Child on Scripps Voices.
That's not right, he's my brother. He's my brother.
He usually makes his comments in the background, very informative they are. Close to the club, ear to the ground. Happy to welcome you here tonight, Neil.
Good evening.
Start off, Quinny, because we've got you here tonight. You've been involved with the club for a lot of years. You've seen managers come and go, different styles, different attitudes to the game, different performances on the pitch. What's impressed you this season that's maybe different about the way the club is either run or the way the team's playing under Jim than under previous managers? And that's not to be critical of anybody else who's gone before, but what do you think Jim does slightly different to others?
I think Jim's a good combination of the two, to be honest. I think he's taken the best of what Jim Harvey had and the best of what Sammy had, and he's perhaps not used their little failings that they maybe had as well. So he's got the coaching side of Ken as well, and he's just a fantastic man manager, and he's like a new manager. He looks to the future, he plans ahead, and he looks at every little nuance as well. I mean, the first game, the Varnet game, when they lost, I think he spent 6 hours watching the video that night, or the day after, to pick out the little things that went wrong, and he works on those little things in training, so his preparation is second to none. And as I say, as a man manager, you can't beat him.
I mean, I think from a fan's perspective, he acts the same way we would. He puts the time in and the energy in that we would. Have you been impressed with his start, Neil, to his managerial career?
Without question. When he was sort of said that Sammy McAvoy was no longer the manager, I went on Scripps Voice and said, yeah, I'd love Jim Belly to be manager, but like one or two others, I wondered whether in fact he needed to go somewhere else to learn the management game. But in all honesty, he's actually proved a lot of us wrong. And I think a lot of it is down now to the fitness of the team, and I particularly think it's these 2 sessions in a day that's made a lot of difference. I know it's the continental way, but we go back to last season, and Tony Capaldi made the remark about travelling for 2 hours with half an hour training, and he got slated, but it was very, very true in what he said. The guys now, 2 sessions a day, different things throughout the training day, absolutely superb, and I think that's coming out on the field quite evidently for everyone to see.
Yeah, just Steve, looking at this last Saturday's game, all right, a couple of weeks before that, we absolutely slammed Crawley, who, you know, are most people's tip to win the title. If anything, I think a lot of people coming out of the game with Bristol Rovers saying it was a better game than Crawley, and even though we lost that game, they've enjoyed it. I mean, were you impressed by the performance of the lads? I mean, all right, we lost the game against a decent side, but were you impressed by the performance?
Yeah, you can't be critical of them, can you? Because all over the park they tried, possibly 1 or 2 players didn't have as good a game as previous, but as a team we played exceptionally well. Bristol are a good side and they're improving, I think we're seeing every week. They'll be up there in the scene. They've got some really good pros that we've known for years can play at this level at the top of the game. But I thought we played exceptionally well, and you've got to give them credit. It's all the second, third goal. We put 1 of the goals against us, but the draw would have been a fair result. It wasn't to me, but I'm not decided. I thought we played very well.
Yeah. And I mean, we came back from a goal down, Quinny. We very nearly came back from 3-2 down. I think. Would it be right in saying that maybe in previous seasons you would have seen when they went 3-2 up, maybe our heads would have dropped a little, but there's a different attitude this season?
Definitely. I'm going to say that what you get this year, you know that those players will come off that pitch, win, lose or draw, they will give 100% for 90 plus 2, 3, 4 minutes of every single game. That's what Jim Bentley wants, and that's what he's going to get. People like Kevin Ellison, they're going to fight to the death. And I've got to be honest, I don't think that was the way last year. I think there were some days where some of those players didn't come off that pitch knowing that they'd give 100%.
And over a season, Neil, I suppose that's going to be important. You know, if you're battling for 90 minutes, if you're winning second balls, which we didn't do a lot, in previous seasons. You know, we always used to say, you know, we were always second to the second ball, if you will, whereas we seem to have that attitude now. Over a season, how do you think that's going to play into our hands? Do you think that's going to, you know, win us points over a season?
I'd like to think that it plays us into our hands, but it's early days yet, very, very early days. I think it was significant on Saturday that the first time that was literally Bristol Rovers' first team on the selection of the whole squad. You've got suffered through injuries, and for me, they were one of the better teams down here this season. On a par with Crawley in many ways. The one thing that both Crawley and Bristol Rovers did for me, which we don't do, is a lot of the ball on the deck. There's still too much, in my opinion, on the ball in the air. And I think that's possibly one of Jim's tactics, where it goes from defence to the guys at the front. But I'd like to see more of the ball on the floor. And I think that when we're sort of probably, I don't know, 24 games into the season, something like half the season over, we will see more of that sort of football brought into it. But I think at the moment it's all about getting points on the ball.
Yeah. So Steve, do you think, I mean, bearing in mind, all right, we lost on Saturday, but can we go to Torquay this Saturday with confidence, do you think?
Yeah, can do. Players will play very well. They're obviously very buoyant, confident, working for each other. We are scoring goals, which we didn't do last year. You know, we said a little bit earlier when we conceded goals last year, heads went a little bit, and perhaps you concede one, we might concede another and another. This year's a bit different, you know, we can see, so we're up for it, can pull one back, whereas one can't get a result, yeah.
We've had a few knocks, Quinny. Do you have any updates on any of those? Any players that we've been missing recently that might be coming back into fitness?
I think Will Hayden should be back at the weekend, so that's a definite bonus to the squad. I thought the squad was a little bit light on Saturday. When I looked around, that's one worry I do have. I just think we're a couple of players short in the long term, especially when you know, the grounds get a bit softer over winter. So it'd be good to see Will back. I don't think Garrett Donald will be quite ready yet. But Phil Jevons coming back as well. So those two back in the squad makes a big difference for me, I think, at the minute.
All right. Talking about the squad, Neil, I mean, I think we're probably just about up to our limit. Derek might know a bit more of us budget-wise. But say looking towards January, do you see any areas where you think he might try and bring loan players in or anything like that?
I think the one thing he will do is extend Price's contract at the end of the season. I also think he may in fact look for bringing somebody in midfield in. I'm impressed very much with MacDonald. I'm impressed always am with Drummy, but I just wonder whether in fact his dual role now may in fact get slightly too much for him, and we may in fact need just a wee bit more creativity in midfield. Defence is fine for me. Fenton is absolutely star man of the season as far as I'm concerned. Up front, I don't think we've seen as much as I would like to of Alexandra. I think personally he's here for next season as a replacement for PJ, because I don't think PJ will be here next season. I think that's signed sealed with it. So January puts him in midfield.
What about you, Steve? Any areas that you think we might lack in?
That's very good deal, to be honest. I think the midfield is perhaps the one that you would perhaps look at and think we just need to just add something a little bit different to what we've got. That isn't any criticism of the players we've got, because they played exceptionally well. Defensively, we're very strong. We've got cover. Attacking options we've seen very cool. It's just that midfield perhaps we just might need that extra man just to do something a bit different.
And I mean, the lads have said where they would like to see strengthened if possible in January. Are we able to do that, Quinny, do you know, or are we up to sort of budget level?
I'm not sure how this budget works, because some clubs who get low gates all seem to be able to spend more money than us, so I'm not quite sure how they get around it. Maybe there's some things like share issues. Crawley's crowds are not big, they're not massive crowds. I don't think they'll sell massive amount of shirts behind the scenes, so how they quite manage to do it I don't really know, but there may be some reason they do it that I don't know how it works. But I think we could bring somebody else in if Jim sees a need. He was looking for another striker earlier on, wasn't he? And he's finally brought Jason in, so I think if he needs to do it, the board will stick by him and somebody else will come in. But what we've got at the minute is fine, but if you get 2 or 3 injuries, it's just a little bit light for me.
I don't think Peter McGuigan's ever sort of refused money when he sees the potential's there. And if he sees that, we're 3/4 away of the league, as it were, maybe 7th, 8th position, and we can go for it, I think he'll say, yeah, we can invest in another player. But like Jim's philosophy, it has to be somebody who'll fit into the scheme as it is now. And that's one thing that's impressed me about Jim. He hasn't really gone for what I would call journeymen like last season. he's gone for people who he knows will fit into the squad that he wants it to be, as individuals and as the collective.
Yeah, and have the right attitude.
Absolutely.
I mean, he talks about wanting to sit,
Absolutely.
you know, have a look in their eyes and have a talk with them and see what the player's all about.
The one thing that has impressed me so far, he seems dead against loans, and I would totally agree with that philosophy. I don't like loans at all.
Okay, you don't think that there's an occasion where you might just get one in for a specific role? Or anything like
because I look at some of the loans they had last season, and for me they were just no good at all.
Well, the lad who scored for Bristol Rovers from the corner is a loanee, isn't he? The Leicester lad.
Yeah, the young lad.
True.
I disagree slightly there, because I think you can use loans well, either to bring a young lad with a bit of pace or something like that. But like you say, Jim will do it if he thinks we need to do. Just going along the line then, looking to Torquay game, Steve. Let's have a prediction from you.
Very hard to call, isn't it? I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for a draw. I think it'll be one apiece. I don't think it'll be one apiece.
Good.
I'm going to go for win, but I'm the world's worst at predicting anything. Whatever I do goes wrong. So if I say draw, then we'll sit on that fence and hopefully we'll sneak it.
2-0 to us.
Good lad.
Absolutely.
Well, before any of you had made a prediction, I was going 1-1 as well, but wouldn't surprise me at all with this word bounce back ability. We nearly did it twice on Saturday, and Jim will have them absolutely fired up for this coming Saturday.
Well, that was a good test for me Saturday because we'd gone behind, and it's only happened a couple of times. So just that little test for you for Jim's side, and the way they did come back was fantastic.
And we could easily have done it again towards the end, couldn't we?
Definitely, so that was good.
Right, well that's our predictions for this coming Saturday. After that, of course, we've got the Preston home game. That should be a fantastic game down here. Doing well, Preston, at the moment. They're going to bring a strong side, so make sure you get yourself down here next Tuesday night. Sorry we couldn't have Bear Ben here tonight, but that's fans panel for this week. Unless we've got any guests who want to come in. Oh, it's David Perkins! Well done. Well, that's all from the fans panel for this week. We'll see you next week when hopefully we'll be talking about another victory at Torquay and a good victory against Preston as well. See you next week.
Cheers.